Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm covering another versatile heritage, so let's dive in. Today we're talking about the Changeling versatile heritage. If you don't know, a Changeling is the child of a hag and another humanoid ancestry. What generally happens is once this hag seduces, uses, and then kills the father, they abandon the child in their father's community. Changelings usually looked like members of their father's ancestry, with one exception. They're two different colored eyes. One is usually pretty basic for their father's ancestry. However, the other is very distinctive and is usually based on the type of hag that their mother was. For example, if your mother was a green hag, then you probably have a distinct, vivid green eye. These two different colored eyes can make it very apparent what their lineage is, which often leads to banishment from their community. As they come of age, other characteristics of their hag mother can manifest. The most common of these are dark vision, claws, and innate magic. However, stranger abilities can manifest. Changelings can be of any gender, but women in particular are vulnerable to the call. This psychic influence urges them to abandon their mortal life and join the hag's coven, eventually becoming a hag. Female changelings who understand their heritage often fear this and work to resist it. Those that don't may find themselves subject to a terrible compulsion and not understand why. Taking the changeling heritage gets you low light vision, unless of course your dad already had low lights. Then you pick up dark vision. And of course you also get access to those sweet changeling feats in addition to those of your ancestry. For feats, I'm going to start with lineages, and the first is Brine May. You were born of a sea hag, so one of your eyes is sea green or blue. When you roll a success on athletics to swim, you get a critical success instead. Also, if you end your turn in water without succeeding on an athletics check to swim, you don't sink. You might still be moved by the current, but you don't sink. Changeling wizards, this is the lineage for you, especially if you're going to be near a lot of water. It's that last sentence that essentially means you can't die from water. Taking Calomay means that your mother was a green hag, giving you a vibrant green eye. You gain the Charming Liar skill feat, which allows you to improve the attitude of creatures if you critically succeed on deception checks, once per conversation. Also, if you roll deception for initiative, then enemies that haven't acted yet are flat-footed against you. This is great for when you want to make foes flat-footed against you at the beginning of combat, but you aren't a rogue. Dream Maze, the children of night hags, have one violet or black eye. You gain a +2 bonus on saves against sleep and dream things. In addition, sleeping gets you hit points equal to your con modifier times double your level instead of just your level. Playing the character that can sleep for 8 hours and get the effects of a bajillion hours of sleep is great for parties where nobody wants to focus on the medicine skill. With Slagmay, you are the child of an Annis hag and gain a violet or steel gray eye. You also have sturdy claws made of cold iron. You gain a claw attack that deals 1d6 slashing damage and has the unarmed and grapple traits. They are, of course, also made of cold iron at level 1, making them great if you have to go up against a bunch of gremlins or other fae. Snow Mays are the children of winter hags, giving them one blue-white eye and an affinity for ice and snow. When moving on ice or snow in Arctic terrain, you always gain the benefit of the cover tracks action without actually having to use the action or moving half your speed. In addition, icy terrain is not considered uneven ground for you, but it's still considered difficult terrain. You also get to ignore difficult terrain caused by snow. Cold precipitation and environmental cold effects don't alter the time it takes you to become fatigued. So if you're going to be in a cold area a lot, this might be the lineage for you. With Veil May, you are the child of a blood hag, giving you one blood red eye. You gain the Lie to Me skill feat. You can also shed disguise quickly by peeling off the outer layer of your skin. Changing from a disguise that you used to impersonate back to your true form is a 3-action activity for you. If you are an expert in deception, it's a 2-action activity for you. It only takes a single action if you're legendary in deception. Unfortunately, this doesn't allow you to remove your armor or other equipment quickly, but otherwise your appearance returns to its normal states. I really wish you could combine this with the Calomay lineage feat, but sadly you can only have one lineage feat per character. But I think it'd be pretty cool to be able to lie really well and disguise yourself really well. But I guess you can just take the Charming Liar skill feat and get the same effects. And the last Changeling lineage feat is Virga May. You were born of a Storm Hag, so you have a crystal blue or rain gray eye. You gain Electric Arc as an innate occult cantrip. Electric Arc isn't normally an occult spell. It's normally only on the primal and arcane lists. So it's really interesting that they decided to make it an occult innate. But it does make sense because a lot of hags do specialize in occult magic. We're done with lineages, but we still have a few more first level ancestry feats to cover. Changeling lore is your basic lore ancestry feats. Train proficiency in deception, occultism, and hag lore. Then we've got Hag Claws. This is really just a lesser version of the Slagmay lineage feat. You gain a claw unarmed attack that deals 1d4 slashing damage. They are in the brawling group and have the agile, finesse, and unarmed traits. These claws can develop anytime during your changeling's life, so you can pick this feat anytime you would pick an ancestry feat, but once you pick it, you're stuck with it. Honestly, I personally think the Slagmay feat is better. But if you want to take a different feat at first level and still want claws, this is the way to do it. If you don't already have Dark Vision, then Hagsight can give it to you. And finally, for first level, we've got Maiden's Mending. Once per minute, when you cast an occult spell that isn't a cantrip or an innate spell from a changeling ancestry feat, you can use a reaction to gain temporary hit points equal to half your level with a minimum of 1 until the end of your next turn. Changeling spellcasters, consider this feat, especially if you don't have a whole lot of hit points. At level 5, Called is not just flavor text. Your character has heard the call and is constantly resisting that demand. This gets you a +1 on will saving throws against mental things, because you're constantly straining mentally. If you get a success against an effect that would make you controlled, then you get a crit success instead. Cutting hair allows you to use your hair to perform simple interact actions, but not anything that requires fingers or significant manual dexterity, including anything that would require a check to accomplish. You also can't use your hair to hold objects. You gotta be a Virga May in order to take favorable wins. For one action, if your next strike is to attack with a ranged weapon, you don't take any penalties due to wind. In addition, if the weapon has a range increment of 10 feet or less, then increase that range increment by 10 feet for that strike. Mistchild. If you're concealed or hidden, you increase the DC of the flat check to target you to 6 if you're concealed and 12 if you're hidden. And at 9th, Accursed Claws. Whenever you critically hit with any claw attack, so even if you're a druid and you transform into a bear, you deal an additional 1d4 persistent mental damage. Then invoke the elements. You gotta be a Brine May, a Snow May, a Veil May, or a Virgo May to take this. Once per day, at the cost of 2 actions, for 1 minute, you become concealed against creatures that are more than 5 feet away. Also during this time, any creature that ends its turn within 5 feet of you also takes 1d12 damage of the type associated with the lineage you used to qualify for this feat. So if you're a Veil May, it does fire damage. If you're a Snow May, it does cold damage, so on and so forth. And at 13th and 17th level, this damage increases by 1d12. With Mother's Mindfulness, once per minute, if an adjacent ally is hit by an attack, you can use a reaction to force the enemy to attack you instead. You become the target of the triggering attack and are automatically hit, or critically hit if the ally was critically hit. You suffer the full effects of the attack in your ally's place. And Occult Resistance gives you a +1 to saving throws against occult effects, aka all saves against barred mental stuff. Fun. At 13th, Hag Magic. Choose one common 4th level or lower spell from those available to a coven, including spells contributed to a coven by a hag of your mother's type. You can cast that spell as a 4th level innate occult spell once per day. Spells available to all covens include Augury, Charm, Clairaudience, Clairvoyance, Dream Message, and Illusory Disguise. The spells granted by the most prominent types of hags are Acid Arrow and Water Walk for the Sea Hag, Entangle, Outsider's Curse, and Wall of Thorns for the Green Hag, Earthbind for those Annis hags, and Nightmare for those Night hags. Some once per day spells aren't that great, but this one actually does have some pretty good options. Do I want a once per day charm? Probably not at this level, but a once per day augury is probably pretty good. And a once per day Wall of Thorns can be combat changing, maybe even combat winning. For me, if you took this feat and you had one of the lineages that aren't in the Advanced Player's Guide, I'd probably let you pick some spells from those hags. For example, if you have Snow May, I'd let you pick up Ice Storm from this feat. With Spiteful Rake, for 2 actions, you can claw at your opponent's eyes. You must have both hands free in order to use this feat. You make a claw strike, and if you hit, the opponent is dazzled for 1 round. If you critically hit with this claw strike, then the opponent is blinded for 1 round and dazzled until it is restored to maximum hit points. For 17th, we have Crone's Cruelty. Warp Mind is an innate occult spell once per day. Great to use against a group of really dumb enemies like ogres. Yeah, get them to fight each other instead of your party. And the final feat for Changelings is Stormy Heart. With this feat, you can use the Invoke the Elements feat once every 10 minutes instead of once per day. So the thing I love most about Changelings is that they have so many options. Want to be sneaky? Take Mistchild. Want to take advantage of a group of really dumb enemies? Take Crone's Cruelty. Want to be better against Fae and Demons? Take Slagmay. They even have options if you just want to do damage. And that's going to do it for this video. So if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Pathfinder 2e teamwork content. So until next time, remember, teamwork is vital.